Hey guys, it's me, Dova, and today I figured I'd tell you guys a little bit of a story. So sit back, relax, kick off your shoes, grab a drink, grab some chips. I don't really fucking know. Do whatever pleases you. But today, I received probably one of the worst phone calls I've ever gotten in my entire life. And it was from my lawyer. But before we get into that, maybe a little bit of backstory. So, about a year ago, I bought myself a 1992 Lexus LS 400. Now, back then, I didn't particularly know a lot about vehicles. All I knew was that it was a Lexus, it had a big ass V8, it made 260 horsepower, and it was rear wheel drive. It had 132,000 miles on it, and it was damn near perfect condition. I think the worst thing on the car was a scratch on the front fender. Now, at the time, any human being with a working brain would see a 132K original mile Lexus LS 400 for $1,600 on Craigslist. There's something wrong with it. But me, I didn't really know any better. I thought that was a reasonable price for a vehicle, so I rolled up, I got in, I test drove it, I said, hey, this thing's fucking sick, and I bought it right then and there. As I was driving it out of its driveway, the car stalled on me. I was kind of confused, but I started it back up and I realized that it was completely out of gas. So we went to the closest gas station, bought one of those little fucking jerry rigs or whatever, and brought it over to the car, filled it up with premium gas because, Lexus, and then I started that bitch up and I started driving again. About 25 minutes into driving it, keep in mind, I only test drove it for about 10 minutes the first time, just long enough to see if everything was working properly because, again, I didn't know much about cars at the time. I was driving home, and the car stalled on me again. I was confused because, I just bought this car and it stalled on me. And the first time it was because it was out of gas. So I was thinking maybe there was a problem with the gas still. Maybe the gas hadn't fully circulated through the car. Maybe something was going wrong in the fuel tank because it had been out of gas for so long. Something along those lines. Started it back up, but it had plenty of gas and I kept driving again. Eventually, I limped it home, and the car had this notorious issue of randomly stalling out and just dying. I contacted my cousin, who is a very good mechanic, and I asked him, what the fuck was up. He said, it's a fuel pump. That was his first response. He just said, it's a fuel pump, you need to fix the fuel pump. And I was like, alright, well, can you come fix it for me? And he said, no, I'm too busy. So I was like, alright, I gotta pay a mechanic. That's not too bad, I've got money in my pocket from my job, and a fuel pump doesn't seem too costly. Then, he, along with my mom, instructed me I needed to take it to the Lexus dealership. And I was like, well, I don't really want to take it to the Lexus dealership, and I'm not really sure what's wrong with it, so I think it's better if I just sell the car and cut my losses, maybe sell it for like $1,000 and fully disclose what's wrong with it, and somebody more skilled can come fix it. Or I could just hire a mechanic, somebody who's not the Lexus dealership and can come fix the car. Well, that wasn't an option, apparently, because my mom and my cousin forced me to go to Lexus and take out a credit card. Now, at this time, I'd been building up my credit for about a year, and I had a damn near perfect credit score. It was like 800, or no, it wasn't 800. It was 730 something. It was 734, which was pretty fucking good for just turning 18. I was like 18 in a month. And they forced me to go to Lexus and take out a Lexus Pursuits card and fix my car at the dealership. Well, took out the card, dropped the car off, and left. Got a call from Lexus about a week later. Lexus calls me and they say, hey, so we've got your car and we fixed it. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. Fantastic. I'll come in and pay with my Lexus credit card. Lexus credit card wasn't exactly working, but after some fidgeting, I got it done and everything. And I go to hop into the car and I start it up and they're like, oh, before you go, by the way, the car is in limp mode now. And I'm like, well, what the fuck do you mean the car is in limp mode? Also, as a side note, I forgot to mention, the credit card was a $3,500 credit card, and Lexus fully maxed that and even a little bit over. It came out to $3,552 when they were done with it. Anyways, they say, yeah, it was a fuel pump issue. Or no, sorry. They say, yeah, the car is in limp mode. And I'm like, well, what the fuck does limp mode mean? And they're like, well, you're not going to get it over 5 miles an hour. And I'm like, what do you mean? I thought you fixed my car. And they were like, well, what we did is we went through and we changed the spark plugs. And I'm sitting there And I'm just absolutely fucking dumbfounded. I look at them and I'm like, what do you mean you changed the spark plugs? And like, well, the car hasn't been serviced at Lexus since 1992. And I'm like, all right, that's fucking fantastic, but what else did you do? And they're like, nothing. We changed the spark plugs. And I'm like, that was $3,500? And they were like, well, fucking yeah, it was. And I'm like, so what do I do with the car? It won't go over 5 miles an hour. It smells like it's pissing gas every time I turn it on, and I'm pretty sure if I'm anywhere within the cabin for more than 30 seconds, I'd fucking die of fume inhalation. And they're like, well, you could get a tow truck. And I'm like, I don't have the money for a tow truck. I just bought an $1,800 car. Or 16, sorry, I got it for $1,600. And they're like, well, you could drive it. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I get in the car, start it up, and I'm driving it home in limp mode, not going over 5 miles an hour, and the fuel pump is still fucking busted on it. So I'm like, dude, it's not, like, it's randomly stalling, and it won't go over 5. Took me 3 hours to make a 25-minute drive home. Finally get home, and I'm fed up with this car, dude. I'm absolutely done. I'm like, dude, like, I took out this credit card. I'm fucking $3,500 in debt. I'm gonna have to be paying this back with my job forever, and it's still fucking broken. Can I please just sell it? Like, I don't want to dump any more money into this car. My mom's like, no, you're being immature. You need to put more money into the car. And I'm like, all right, what do you mean? And she's like, we need to fix it. So she finds another mechanic who's not Lexus, who will take cash. So we get this mechanic, and he goes over my car, and he goes through, and he pretty much entirely, like, he takes off the manifold and goes through the whole engine, replaces, like, O-ring seals and shit like that, and does a bunch of shit. He does literally everything but replace the fuel pump. And then we end up paying this mechanic just around $800 or something for everything he's done on the car, and the car still doesn't fucking work. And at this point, I'm losing my fucking mind because I took out another credit card that wasn't, associated with Lexus to pay this mechanic. So there's even more money that I'm bleeding at this point for this fucking car. Now, after all this, the car still isn't working, and my cousin is finally like, fine, I'll just come down and fucking fix it. So he comes down, takes the back seat out, goes to AutoZone, grabs a $141 fuel pump, slaps it in, and the car runs perfectly fucking fine. So the only issue with the vehicle was the fucking fuel pump, which I ended up having to go over $4,500 in debt to get sorted out, which is absolutely fucking ridiculous because I wasn't able to make my own decisions. Even though I was 18 and I'd purchased the car and I had my own job and my own money, I wasn't allowed to make the decisions because anytime I tried to suggest something, I was apparently being immature, as referred to myself by my family. I was forced to go to Lexus and put myself in debt to fix this fucking vehicle by a bunch of fucking retards who didn't even know how to work on the fucking car that they made. Anyways, so that got sorted out, and I've now had a $1,600 car that I've put about $4,500 or so into, and it's running perfectly fine, and I'm ecstatic. I finally get my car. It's luxurious. I love it. It's so stylish. Creme de la fucking creme. And then my friend crashes into a Jimmy John's. Yeah, he drifts his car off of a stop sign, loses control, and slams into the side of a fucking Jimmy John's. I book it over to him when I find out what happened to get his car so it doesn't get towed when he gets fucking arrested. And long story short, he ends up having a court date for his misdemeanor. So I offer to take him. I'm like, hey man, if you go to court and they happen to arrest you, they're going to impound your car. So why don't you let me drive you to the court date? So that way, if you do get arrested, I can just drive home and your car won't be, fucked. And it'll save your mom a lot of money and it'll save you a lot of money. So he says, okay, after a lot of arguing, and we get up at 6 in the fucking morning, drive over to this little rinky-dink fucking place to get breakfast. I ended up buying him and me breakfast. It was $35 fucking dollars. Get out, get in the car, and start driving. And right as I'm about to get on the highway, there's a red light for the left turning lane to get on the highway. I pull up, and I stop at the red light. There's a little white rinky-dink fucking Suzuki SUV behind me. And I'm sitting there at the red light, perfectly stopped, peaceful, sitting there for a good 3 seconds. And I look over to my friend and I say, hey man. And then boom, I sent fucking flying forward at Mach 17 from a dead stop with my foot all the way on the brake. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I rip my e-brake. I turn around and I see my trunk is all the way up. And then it slowly fades down, and I see the front end of a poor little Suzuki completely fucking caved in, and a poor Mexican lady who doesn't speak a lick of English with her hands up, confused as fuck, all the while I'm screaming at her through my back windshield. I get out of my car and I'm like, dude, what the actual fuck is your And I stop. And I see a Ford F-150 with the engine in the fucking cabin of the truck. This dude was doing 65 or 70 in dead stop traffic and plowed straight into a fucking Suzuki. He didn't brake or anything. There was no tire marks. There was no squealing. He just straight 70 miles an hour into a fucking SUV that went into my car and then destroyed it. Long story short, the dude doing 70 in traffic didn't have a very good insurance company, as I'm sure you'd probably fucking figure. My car was deemed totaled. Insurance company gave me $1,700 for it, and then I sold the shell of the car, which they let me keep, for $600. That's what happened to my car. I paid well over $6,000 in total for. I got $2,700 for it. So, there's that sorted out. Now, I've got to get a personal injury case done. So I go to a lawyer because he's got a bad insurance company and I've got a feeling I'm going to need one. He ends up arguing with them, blah, 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 blah. A lot of time passes and I end up getting a call from him and he's like, hey, come down, let's discuss some stuff. I go down there and I get my deal. All of my medical bills paid and everything sorted out. I walk away with $1,500 in my pocket. Considering it was a rear end and he didn't have a crazy good insurance company, I wasn't expecting that much more than what I was offered. I was expecting maybe like $3,000 or $4,000, but $1,500 not the worst. I was kind of unhappy with it, but you know. Anyways, my mom finds out about this offer and well, she says she needs a car. And I'm like, well, okay, let's just try and save up money to buy you a car or something. And she says, no, I need a car now. And I'm like, all right, it's pretty obvious what's happening here. And long story short, without going into all the super, tiny details, I basically get guilt tripped into taking the offer where I don't pay my medical bills, take the $5,500, and then I use that to buy her a car with. So now I've got $4,800 worth of medical bills on top of my Lexus credit cards and other various credit card debts, putting me at just around $10,500 in debt. Now, all this is settled and whatever, and I get a new car with the money I got from the Lexus. It's a 1998 Mustang GT with 254,000 miles, and that little 2-valve 4.6 liter was still kicking. So, I get this car and I'm happy with it. I fucking love it. Of course, I have this pending fear in the back of my head that it's randomly going to explode, considering it almost has 300,000 fucking miles and it's a Ford, but it didn't give me a lick of trouble. Sometimes it didn't want to go in reverse, but that's Mustangs. Anyways, I'm driving to the movies one day with my girlfriend. We had just left a little convenience store to illegally sneak in candy, and I pull up to the right lane to go forward. And it's a green light. I shift out of first into second, and, I'm accelerating. I'm not fucking, redlining it because it's got 250,000 miles. I'm accelerating relatively slowly, and then I shift into third. And as I shift into third, my front end touches the intersection, the white line of the crosswalk, and the light turns yellow. Obviously, I'm already doing 40 miles an hour, and the light just turned yellow as I hit the intersection. There was no physical way I could have stopped without squealing my tires and sliding out into the middle of the intersection and causing a fucking wreck. So, I just drive through it. I don't think anything of it. Well, somebody had other plans. A V8 Toyota Highlander waiting to turn left, or actually not waiting, a V8 Toyota Highlander speeding down the lane in front of me about to turn left. Instead of stopping at his green light to yield for a vehicle, he decides he's just going to go straight through because he can make it, right? Well, that's when a Toyota Highlander doing 45 T-boned the side of my fucking Mustang and threw me into the other lane of traffic. So I get T-boned, I slide into the oncoming lane of traffic, and I'm fucked. My car is bent like a boomerang, I've got lacerations on the left side of my head, and a bunch of other shit. That accident fucked me up, dude. Let me tell you. I had to get 16 stitches on the left side of my head. Keep in mind they're on the left side of my head. That's important. My left bicep had a longitudinal tear in it, my rotator cuff was torn, and the entire left side of my body was completely fucked because I just took a V8 truck doing 45 directly to the fucking side of me. So the dude gets out of his truck and starts calling everyone. The accident gets sorted out, yada yada yada. We get rushed to the hospital by ambulance because it was a pretty fucking bad accident, and I get in there and everything gets sorted out. Now, when the paramedics are assessing me, when they're pulling me out of the car, they're asking me a very vital question. They're asking me, "Son, did you have your seatbelt on?" And of course, I'm in the middle of God knows what the fuck just happened to me. My head just got fucking slammed into by a 4,500 pound SUV. I answer with, I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember. I was just driving. I don't remember. And then I said, I think so. I don't remember. Because I had a fucking head injury, dude. Like, more important things were on my mind, whether or not I had it on. But I never said, no, I didn't. I said, I think so, but I don't remember. And the police report wrote down that I did have my seatbelt on, which I'm assuming one of the paramedics unclipped it when they took me out of the car, because I'm fairly certain I did have my seatbelt on. Now, when I get to the hospital, I'm never asked about my seatbelt. Never once am I asked about my seatbelt. I'm asked how I got my injuries, and I say, my head slammed into my driver's side window. If any of you have ever been in a fucking vehicle, imagine you're sitting in the driver's seat, and your window is directly beside your head. That is the left side of your head. Now imagine you get impacted from the left side of your vehicle, and you have your seatbelt on. Where does a seatbelt prevent you from going? Is it to the left? Into the fucking window 2 inches away from your head? Is it to the right, to the other side of the car? The answer is it keeps you from going fucking forward because it's across your shoulder and your collarbone. It doesn't stop the window from plowing into you at 45 miles an hour and busting your fucking head open. Now, I got a call from my lawyer. He starts the phone call with, "Hey Trey, we've got a pretty crummy offer, and given what we have, there's not much we can do about it." He puts me on hold. My heart absolutely fucking sank. My medical bills are $12,000 between the ambulance, the emergency room, the treatment at the hospital I went to, and then the chiropractic care I was given, and my physical rehab, which, by the way, I'm not even close to a fully functional fucking human being anymore. My left shoulder still pops out of place if I even try to pick up a gallon of milk. I still have so much pain in trying to use it from the rotator cuff tear and the longitudinal bicep tear. I still get terrible migraines, and the left side of my head is still tender where I was hit and got my stitches, because the person who gave me my stitches wasn't a doctor. It was an intern who was trying it out, and she popped out the stitches 7 fucking times. The insurance company offered me $8,900. $8,900 for my injuries under the premise that I, quote, was not wearing my seatbelt. My medical bills are $12,000. Now, let's just say in some theoretical universe I wasn't wearing my seatbelt, and some of my injuries could have been technically my fault. Well, I'd love to know which ones they were, because was the seatbelt going to make the truck not bend in my driver door and physically fucking hit my body? Was that what the seatbelt was going to do? I have literal photos of my car being jammed into my fucking driver's side. But apparently, it somehow was my fault. Now let's say we're in a world where I was wearing my seatbelt. Did that prevent the truck from hitting my fucking body? No, it didn't. Either way, whether or not I was wearing my seatbelt, which I believe I was, but as I've said multiple times, I told multiple sources when I was pulled up to the accident that I wasn't sure. I didn't remember. I literally suffered a fucking head injury. I don't understand how anything could be taken as factual from that. Also, not to mention, the police report said that I was wearing my seatbelt, which means a paramedic or a firefighter, some EMS, witnessed that I was wearing my seatbelt. So the factual conclusion is, guess what? I was wearing my fucking seatbelt. But guess what the offer is? $8,900. I was thinking that I was going to get maybe $5,000 in my pocket, $10,000 in my pocket, $20,000 in my pocket, something to walk away with, something to maybe pay off my debt, something to maybe spend on a cool car or something I've been wanting for a long time, even a fucking Nintendo Switch. Just something. My mom got rear-ended in 2012. She walked away with $14,000 in her pocket. My grandmother was rear-ended about a year ago, and she walked away with $24,000 in her pocket. But me, being a 19-year-old fucking idiot driving a Mustang, I'm not getting anything even close enough to cover my fucking medical bills. It's fucking ridiculous. Currently, my life is just a non-stop cycle of pretty much endless pain from both of the accidents. I've always had back issues. For those of you who didn't know, I'm 6'4". With that comes a lot of back and neck issues and problems and a lot of pain. Getting rear-ended and then T-boned didn't necessarily help those. Any doctor I go to or speak to about it doesn't actually do me any good because nobody takes me seriously. At 19, I'm pretty much viewed as a drug seeker for some reason, even though I've literally just been asking the most mundane questions and just please help me do something to ease my pain because the chiropractic didn't do anything for me at all. After the accident, after getting hit by a truck, I was offered a pain relief solution. They offered me one Motrin. In the other room, I heard a lady being offered a prescription of tramadol because she had neck pain, because she was 45 and she worked in accounting and she stared at a screen all day. So that's pretty much where that is. Not getting enough to even cover my fucking medical bills. I'm already $10,000 in debt at 19. I live in pretty much constant fucking pain. And that's not to say that there aren't other people who did that as well. I'm not trying to get pity here. This is not a pity party. I'm not asking you guys to sympathize for me, but this channel is a feelsthread channel, so maybe some of you will emanate with this, or I don't know, maybe I just wanted a place to fucking vent because I can't really talk to anyone else because it seems like everyone else in my life has been the ones who fucked me. It's just, I don't really know what else to say. You know, I don't have the worst life in the world. I'm not begging for pity or a fucking GoFundMe or some bullshit like that. The point is, it just seems like I continually get fucked and nobody wants to take me seriously. It's bullshit. I'm $10,000 in debt because of the actions of other people, and I have nothing to show for it. I'm almost 20 and I've pretty much nothing to show for it. The only thing I have is my YouTube channel, which I'm grateful for, but to be honest, living in pain every single fucking day and knowing that after both of my accidents I walked away with literally no financial compensation is just disfucking-heartening. I wish I could at least wake up and go downstairs and walk into my garage and see a fucking brand new, like, $8,000 car sitting there to be like, oh yeah, I got that because I was in accidents. Like, I have chronic fucking pain for the rest of my life, but, you know, at least I've got this cool car to show for it. Or maybe, I don't know, just something stupid. Maybe I wanted to upgrade my computer because rendering on my fucking stupidly slow i5 and shitty fucking 3 terabyte hard drives is just painstakingly long. Maybe it takes me 6 hours to render a 1 hour video and it's fucking annoying. Maybe I wanted to upgrade something. Maybe I'm tired of my PC constantly blue screening. Maybe I just wanted a better fucking monitor because I've had this one for 4 years. Maybe I just wanted something for the mistakes of other people causing me grief and bullshit that I've had to deal with. But in the end, it seems like everyone gets to do whatever they want, and it doesn't matter if it fucks me over. Because at the end of the day, I've got no say over it, and I get nothing from it. Thanks for watching, guys. And if any of you are going to comment, well, why don't you just sue them? Well, my lawyer has informed me that if I did try to sue them, there is a high probability that we could lose and that the jury could side against me no matter what, like, evidence was found. And given, you know, how I'm treated as just this young kid who got in an accident with a Mustang and just generally being 19, it seems like pretty much everybody in my old rich white people community seems to frown on me anyways. So I don't think it really matters. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm not looking for pity. I just wanted to vent. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.